Hey, before you guys watch the episode discussion, which is awesome, of episode 701, which we taped in April of 2025, I wanted to jump on here and make sure you know about the second Outlander BTS Scotland tour, which we did the first one. I partnered with Prime Tours. They're awesome. In 2023. And the second one is happening in 3 months in October. And we are starting in Edinburgh, heading down to Dumfries, and then down to Stratford upon Avon, where we'll see Sam Heughan in Macbeth. So there are a few spaces left. All 4 BTS lassies are signed up to go, and it's going to be really fun. So it's a patron benefit. So you need to be a patron of the site to go. If you're interested, head on over to the site, OutlanderBTS.com. There's a post that tells all about it. And register. It's gonna be great. And that's it. So enjoy the episode discussion. Thank you. Okay, well, should we just dive in? Yeah,
Yep.
I think we should. Okay, tonight we are talking about episode 701, A Life Well Lost, written by Danielle Barrow and directed by Lisa Clark. I'm Courtney Williams. I produce Outlander behind the scenes. And I've been a book fan since 2006, show fan since the beginning, 2014, yeah. And I actually started reading the novellas between our last conversation and this one, or whenever, I don't know. And finding that really interesting. Comment on that later. I'm drinking water because here in Boulder, Colorado, we are having summer today. So it's either like freezing and the heater's on, or then it's summer. So I'm always hydrating. Let's see. My overall impression of this episode. I'm gonna say season 7B sort of has spoiled me a little bit. When I came back to watch this one, I did watch it when it first came out, but when I came back to watch this one, I will just say that I thought it was well done. I was entertained. I did at some points feel like, wow, this is a really long episode, which kind of is probably a signal. And I think that the subject matter that they covered, political intrigue and Roger's religious pursuits, probably are not my most compelling parts of the show, or the books. And so having said that, that's what they did do, I think they did a really good job with that and keeping my attention. I was like, wow, this is the kickoff for the whole season. And those are the topics, but I guess that's just where things were. So I don't know if I'm going to give it a rating. It wasn't my favorite episode. There was nothing wrong with it, though. That's kind of where that's where I am.
I'm Carmen Schmidt. I write the Outlander Anatomy blog. I'm drawn to Outlander to a large degree because of its emphasis on science and medicine and anatomy, all subjects which are very close to my heart. And I started reading the books in 2014, and that was the year that I first saw the first show. So I was doing it simultaneously, although by the time the show started, I had read all of the books by then, so I was caught up. But I am a fan of both, and I look for everything that I can that has to do with science and medicine. And it just is a thrill to me to have a program that has that kind of a focus in it so that it can give that to people who are, who really find that a wonderful part of living. And so tonight I am drinking chai, my own homemade chai. And I have in it a little bit of coconut caramel rum flavoring that one of my sons made me as a Christmas gift. And it makes for a
Yum.
very pleasant chai. I don't put too much in it, just a little bit, but it's enough to give it a really nice flavor. As far as this episode is concerned, I completely agree with you. I thought it was a good episode, but not epic. And whereas in 7B, we had a number of epic, what I would classify as epic episodes. So I thought it was good and solid. There are some parts which I didn't care for a lot, which you touched on, and I would have to agree with that to a large degree. So that would be my take on the episode.
Okay. And you've had cold and rainy, so your drink sounds amazing for that.
Yeah, it's cold and rainy, and we have had a lot of water this year, this spring. And then we had a week of sunshine and warmth, and all the cherry blossoms came out. Now it's cold again, so now they'll probably rot instead of producing fruit.
Freeze and rot. Nah, they'll make it. Are there any other shows that you watch that have, anatomical, medical type?
Yeah, Silent Witness is a really one that it's a British production, and I think there's 32 seasons.
Wow.
Of it. They do a very good job of forensic pathology. But this one is what's different about Outlander is those kinds of shows have their focus on the science only, whereas this show intertwines the science with life. And I find that very interesting because that's what I try to do too. Since I'm a mom and a grandmother and a great grandmother, I have a big family. And, I'm constantly doing things with my family and for my family. And so this sort of reinforces my own life to me. So that's why one of the reasons I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, tonight it's just Carmen and myself. Catherine got on for social purposes. We should have just had her say hi. And Antoinette has some family stuff going on, not able to join us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Carmen, you want to go first with favorite scenes?
I think my favorite scene was the exchange between Claire and Tom Christie. And it was very close to, at least part of the dialogue was very close to what's in chapter 97 of From a Breath of Snow and Ashes. The author of this episode did a very good job in translating that chapter into their discussion. But I thought it was very candid and honest, very intimate. And I thought they were both very true to their characters. Claire, at the end, after listening to all of that, I don't believe you, Tom. That was a perfect line, and the way she delivered it was also perfect. And he just sort of smiled that small smile and just kept silent.
I love you even more because you said that. Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorites. Mark Lewis Jones, he's like Fanny Flory May. He's a scene stealer. The other part, when you said, they stayed in character, every time he talks about Malva being a witch or his wife, Claire's like.
Yeah, I'm coming back to that later. That also is part of who they were, true to character too.
Yeah. And just he was so believable as a man who is truly and utterly in love for the first time in his life.
Mm-hmm.
Deeply in love.
Never had the experience before, apparently.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it in season 6. Did he show up in 6 or 5? I'm trying to remember now.
I believe it was 6.
Yeah, probably.
Didn't
So.
she do his hand in 6?
Yes. And so
Yes,
those Ardmere scenes were at the beginning of 6 with him in them. Yeah.
I believe
So,
so, yeah.
so we have talked about before his character transformation, how he was so stern and rigid, and
Oh,
um,
my goodness.
how much
So
he's been
uptight.
cracked open. Like Mark Lewis Jones did such a beautiful job of that, and this scene is like the culmination of
Yeah,
the development of his character for
yeah.
me. Yeah. Um, well, I'll just stick with your theme. My favorite scenes were all the ones with Mark Lewis Jones. And in particular, when he asks Jamie to eulogize him, I thought that was really beautifully, I mean, his vulnerability in that moment when he, he's, I don't think that it's different scenes. So he's talking to him about, I want to do this for Claire, and they're having that. And then he goes back and remembers that black day when they buried Malva, and your wife said and he starts to cry just silently, and then asks Jamie. He's so open and vulnerable with Jamie, which has got to
Which,
be hard.
yeah, and he's never done that before, which
Right.
shows the change, the transformation of him.
Yeah. I mean, and then Jamie, wants to be like, no, I'm her husband. And then, he's just that super emotionally intelligent, flexible minded person who's able to see like, this could actually work. This man, this is really important to him. This could actually work better than whatever I'm going to go. What am I going to go like attack the ship,
I think that's probably what he had in mind, coming up with some kind of a plan to attack the ship.
Right.
Which,
But he was able to see and acquiesce to Tom Christie. I thought that was a really beautiful scene too.
yes. Yes, and I want to expound a little bit more on that, so I won't go into it too much. But I thought Sam's eulogy for Tom off the cuff was very touching for two men to talk to each other like that. It's wonderful when that's depicted in on the film or on the screen, because it isn't very much. Men being intimate with each other about what's closest to their hearts really doesn't get on the screen enough, in my opinion. We see women all the time, but
Yeah.
men not so much.
Especially now. I feel like it's a, my dad went to go see the second Top Gun movie, happened to come out on his birthday 2 years ago, and he was a fighter pilot. And so my brother and his family took him to see it as a surprise. And I asked him what he thought of it, and he said, why do the characters, something like, why do the characters have to all act like that? They don't act like real people. And he's talking about the bravado, the macho,
Swaggering, yeah.
all that stuff. And even though he's like an old guy, so he's from, whatever, the patriarchy and all that stuff, he doesn't relate with that. He's just like, why don't they just talk like normal people and, do things? I don't understand why they do it like that. And I said, well, I don't know either, but it seems to be, yeah,
Oh,
it
it's
is
part of this
refreshing.
hyper masculinity. I won't say toxic, that's the big word now, but this hyper masculinity is really the big deal now. And I think it's a reaction to so many films or so many programs where men were kind of emasculated in a way.
Mm,
Not that might not be the right word, but I'm thinking of the Big Bang, where the guys were just all timid and get pushed around by everybody and so forth. And there were a lot of programs like that, in my opinion. And I think what we're seeing now is kind of a pushback,
like a
because
new
that,
pendulum. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that happens a lot in society where we swing from one end to the other. And I think that may be a little bit about what we're seeing with some
We've
of
already
these
seen
films.
that in the life of this production.
Yeah,
You know, we started out with Jamie from the book, and then we swung over to Strong Claire, and Jamie's got to be, and now it's evening out a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree with you. And yeah. Do you have another one?
I do. And it's small, but I loved it. And that was the exchange between Claire and Mrs. Martin. You know, I mean, when you think about when she went in and Mrs. to talk to her, and Mrs. Martin figured out who she was just like, you know, all the Twitter and everything. I'm speaking to a murderess. And then when she went out, you know, after Claire cared for her and gave her something to soothe her nerves and her stomach and so forth. It was, you know, I won't say anything about it if you don't. And um, Claire just smiled, you know, she just, and you know, Claire was very patient and kind to her and reassuring because the woman was in a difficult situation being pregnant like she was, and then having had lost half of her births, half of her children to various things. I just think that I just thought it was a really sweet exchange between two ladies who didn't know each other at the beginning, but came away with an understanding that was deeper than what one might expect to have happen under those circumstances. So I found it very gratifying.
Yeah, I agree with you, and believable. In that short, I thought the woman who played Mrs. Martin was very good.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, we saw her go through all of those, you know, feelings and lines and stuff, and they pulled it off. That was on my list too. I actually appreciated particularly the writing, the scene between Roger and Bree where she's like, you know, wait, you're not going to try to bust out Donner. And they talk about, you know, Roger shares, well, you know, she's like, he just sat there and did nothing. And Roger's like, well, I had this experience with Bonnet. And she's talking about, well, this is what these people did to me. And they did that to my mother. And I just thought they did a good job of talking about and having emotions and seeing each other's points about a situation that's fairly complex and unresolvable. I thought it was well written and well acted.
Yeah, that both women were badly damaged by their experience, Bree and Claire. And I thought it was courageous of Roger to speak up and tell her that, well, he actually did stand by and watch something be done. Although his excuse, I thought, was a little, you know, I had to stay alive to come and find you.
Well,
I think it might have been a little bit more than that. He would have been thrown overboard too. And he knew that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it did go through his head of like, I can't let this happen.
Yeah, I'm sure it
And
did.
then like,
did.
well, if I do something, they're gonna kill me. And then what's gonna happen to Bree?
Yeah, right.
You know,
and
so
him. So
yeah,
they're both, you know,
and
both be
him.
gone.
Yeah. So I bought that. I thought that was good. Okay, what worked for you?
The opening scene of Claire's hanging. When the first time I saw that and then saw him push her over and saw her heels bump against the scaffolding, you know, as she swung, my heart just went down to my ankles. I was like, what the heck? I was just like, because all the while that she was standing there, I was thinking, well, Jamie's going to rush in at any moment, you know, and save her, you know, or somebody, Ian, something will happen, you know, they'll shoot the hangman or and then nothing happened and she goes over and I was like, what? Now how are they going to get themselves out of this? Well, they did. But I thought it was effective. I thought it was terrifying for those few moments as his mental fears were playing themselves out. And we realized then, you know, that this is his imaginings, which must have driven him crazy,
Yeah,
to think of those things. But I thought that really worked very well.
I agree. That was on my list. And the whatever it was, a dummy or whatever that they actually pushed off and had her swing. Ooh, that it
Yeah.
was very realistic looking.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was.
going to Jamie having the thoughts and doing the voice over. Yeah, also really well done by him. Okay, so the ending really worked for me. When Jamie killed that son of a bitch, it was so good. And Chris Larkin's so good at playing like the smarmy, like, you wouldn't kill
You're a
me,
moral man.
whole bug. When he's doing the mouth the whole
Yeah.
time. And then the very end, and Jamie's going for him, and he's like, "Ooh,"
Oops.
that was great. And Jamie's sitting half in shadow and half in light. I just thought Sam must have loved this.
Yeah.
And did you see how big his pupils were?
Yeah, his pupils really respond to low light well.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like if you're about to kill someone, you'd think you have small pupils. So I thought that was really well played by both guys. I loved that was the ending, and I loved that he killed Richard Brown. That's his name, right? Richard Brown?
Richard Brown,
Yeah,
Lionel's his brother.
that really worked for me.
Well, we already kind of said this, but I thought Tom Christie's performance throughout was one of the most outstanding elements in the entire episode. He was a changed man, and he was at peace with the choices that he was making. And I thought he projected that without saying a word, just with his facial expressions, with his body language, and so forth. He let everybody that he spoke to know that he was good with this choice, and that for them not to be concerned about it. It was his choice, and he was making it. So I thought that was an excellent element, and that it worked extremely well in the episode. I loved Claire's note to Tom Christie, where it said, "Vir meus, my man or my husband," on it, because he knew what it was, and it hurt him to read that. You could see that on his face too, but he did the right thing anyway. He was going to do what he could to return her to her man, or get her man to come to her. And I just thought that was very clever, because I think that the guys on the ship, when they looked at it, they wouldn't know what that meant, but he knew exactly what that meant. He was a learned man, and he was able to read Latin, so he knew. So I liked that very much.
He really did. You saw the like, oh, it's not me. You know, was that in the book? Done like that in the book?
I don't. Oh,
She sends a list to somebody, and maybe it is Tom Christie.
I have to go back and look at that. I
Yeah,
don't
me
remember. There is a
too.
list. There is a list, and I think
And maybe it is from the book, because I was thinking, wow, if this was an adaptation and not in the book, how kudos to them.
yeah.
But then I
No,
kind of
the
remember.
list is in the book. I know the list is in the
Yeah.
book because I read it just yesterday, but I forgot to read who it was given to.
Yeah. I think, did they take it to I don't remember. Anyway, somebody who's watching is telling us, yelling at the screen. Put it in the comments. Please.
Donna Marie.
Yeah. It could be anybody. Yeah, they usually know. Did you notice, and this worked for me, this isn't what you noticed, but Tom Christie actually looked dirty. He had a stubbly beard and stringy, dirty hair.
Sweaty.
So I
Yes.
want to know, and actually the people who stoned them in the recap were also dirty and looked all stringy. So I want to know, is that something that Mark Lewis Jones kind of made happen on his own? Since we have like, if you think about the other characters, Jamie's hair was a little messed up, but nobody looked as kind of like ragged out as he did.
Well, he had been drinking whiskey,
Well,
too, which he never
even in the
did.
scenes before that,
Oh,
he was pretty stringy. And I just am curious why he looked like that and no one else did.
he was stressed out.
He was, but I mean, Jamie's not stressed out. I mean,
Well, but I mean, Tom's been there trying to do something about Claire, getting her out of jail and supporting her, waiting, but he doesn't know that Jamie got out, does he? That he escaped
no, he
the ship.
doesn't.
None of them knew that, because in the end, Richard said, "So you didn't want to take a trip to Scotland then, huh? You didn't go on the boat."
Right.
So I think I I can see where Tom Christie felt great stress at trying to protect the woman he loved and feeling very limited in his ability to do anything about the situation,
Yeah,
the stress of it.
I'm curious if he himself had something to do with his appearance, because as a whole, the production, as we've noted, in this season doesn't make people look stringy and dirty and
True.
all that stuff. So I just wonder if Mark himself was like, well, this guy would look like this.
Good point.
I'm curious about that, and it worked for me. I was really happy to see it. But he was the only one who kind of looked like that. The riding scenes really worked for me. That white horse that
It's a
Jamie
beauty.
was on was a beauty, and I kept. And then just they were going across country and through streams, and there were just a lot of really good like galloping scenes, and I kept slowing it down to see if I could see if it was actually those guys riding, and oftentimes it wasn't.
It wasn't
Anyway,
them.
I don't think so.
Sure looked like Ian from the back.
Yeah. The person was bald or had on a bald something, but their facial structure was a little bit different. It's hard to capture that, but anyway, those really worked for me. Oh, Bree and Roger really worked for me in this episode. Their casual conversation on the beach as the very first scene with them, when he's like, I stole sweeties from the post office, and she's like, oh, and all that stuff. I thought it was great. They were playful, and it just reminded you that they're not in their time. They were acting like people who are from their time, because they weren't interacting with anybody from the 1700s. And I thought it was well done, and I thought it was a good reminder that they're not from that time. And I thought it was cute. Anyway, that worked for me.
Well, I have a couple more.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned this a moment ago or a little bit earlier, when Tom blamed Mona and Malva for having the curse of Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, that's so typical of men of that time, and still even today. It's so lame to blame the woman, because if they'd have no choice, they're completely at her will,
Right.
And
the seductress.
Right. And they have no part in saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while I didn't like it, and Claire didn't like it either, obviously, she, you could tell by her eyebrows and her looks that, yeah, that wasn't hanging with her. But but I thought it was true to the period that they found themselves in, and the attitudes toward women that still persist in many circles today, but certainly was more widespread then, I think, than now. So I thought that was well done. I thought Major McDonald playing the manipulative bastard was very good. He was so smarmy and smug, and undermining their integrity, and they had to question it, and everything. And he was jabbing her right and left. It was just really, he was mean. And then the last one that I really did like, though it was one comment, the preacher that Roger was with when they were walking up to try to comfort the men, before they went into battle. He said, stay away from sides and focus on our calling, basically. Don't get into the politics of it. Just focus on what we're here to do, and that's to talk about the word of God. And I thought, man, how refreshing. I really wish that all clergy would follow that bit of advice. I think we would be much better off if that were the case, and stay in their lanes. No, it's not today. To stay in their own lane, which they're ordained to do, and they should do that, in my opinion.
I thought that the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and God will surely go with thee. I thought that was a smart vehicle to, get Donner to realize he's from the future. Because, in the book, I think he's singing Yellow Submarine or something.
One scene he does.
Well,
I don't think this scene wasn't in the book.
Yeah, no.
He was on the patio at Aunt Jocasta's singing Yellow Submarine.
Donner was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they heard him inside the house, or Bree hears him, right?
I believe that's the way it went. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty creative. And he's like, what do you have for these guys going into battle? And he comes up with Muhammad Ali. And then Donner's like, Ali. Yeah, I thought that was creative. Good job, Daniel Barrow. I thought the Martins, like I said, did a good job. There were a lot of great. I'm very auditory, and I watch these with headphones on. I don't know if you noticed how much additional audio there was in this episode. Like when they were in the prison, background noises, there were people marching by, and horses and wind, and it was just the entire episode.
The ship creaking.
Yeah, the ship creaking, the entire episode, there was a lot of great background audio, which for me adds a lot. That really worked for me. I also said the Major McDonald scene of, just him being surprised, and then just the back and forth of Claire being like, oh crap, that was well done.
Yeah.
And when she calls him a manipulative bastard, he's like, well, can't argue with you actually, but that's what I gotta do. Okay, let's go to least favorite scene. And what didn't work?
This is going to be so funny. My least favorite scene was Jamie killing Richard Brown. Not that he didn't deserve it. He did deserve it. There's no question about it, especially as it was played. But I didn't like it because basically Jamie was saying in there that Claire was the reason that he even had a moral compass.
Yeah.
And that's not who Jamie is.
No.
She certainly reinforces his morality and and supports him and so forth. So I'm not saying that, but he has a moral compass regardless of whether she's there or not.
Yeah.
I just think that it did him, to me, it did a disservice to his character for him to just outright kill the man in cold blood. And I didn't, if the guy had gotten to his pistol, or his dirk or something like that and made a move for it that threatened Jamie, okay, I can see that, but I didn't really care for it, even though he deserved it.
Well, now you don't think Jamie would do that? Like, what happened to Richard Brown in the book? I don't remember.
In the book, the last we read of Richard Brown is in A Breath of Snow and Ashes. They're on their, he and his men asked to join Jamie at the fight with Major McDonald, who I think is a general by then, at the bridge at Miller's Creek. And they shoot, and Jamie lets them. And that's the last we hear of Richard Brown. He never shows up again.
Yeah, I think doesn't Richard Brown get shot and he's like sinks into the water or something?
No, that's McDonald.
Oh, right.
That's the bastard that manipulative bastard that sinks in, and Jamie shoots the final bullet that kills him there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think his crime is well, I guess so. This one, what was the name of that? It was Adoration something or other. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, and not Endless Adoration, but
isn't that the one where he killed? Did he kill that?
Well, he killed that man that in the quarry.
I'm talking about, yes,
at Ardsmuir.
Right, just because he was a douchebag.
Well, he was cruel to everybody, and he had a brother. Remember, his brother, they meet up at Jocasta's plantation, if I remember right.
And then in the book, he also kills the man who raped Claire. He goes and finds him and kills him. Remember?
Yeah. That's in the heat of battle.
No, it's the remember Jenny's there and Claire sees him at the market, and then she comes home and she's all, freaked out, and then Jenny tells.
Oh, I was thinking of the book. Sorry.
That's the book. Jenny tells Jamie, and then Jamie goes and kills him.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Bobble.
Yeah, not Bobble. I'm the guy.
The shuffling,
the guy who raped her. Right. She sees him at a market with Jenny, and Jenny sees Claire freeze up, and
they go to the Browns trading post. Remember? Yeah. And yes, and he does kill him. That's true.
And then his dog shows up.
Bluebell.
Yeah. So anyway, it's not that Jamie won't kill someone in cold blood as vengeance, as revenge. And that's why, so the one I'm talking about in the show, the dark-haired guy, didn't he kill him in the hotel room?
But that wasn't in the book either.
No, and that felt more out of line. And that was kind of like, oh no, I gotta kill him because he found me out or something. I don't remember the exact. But this made more sense to me because Richard Brown basically, led a group of people who raped his wife and assaulted her.
Yeah, I just didn't care for it. I didn't like it. And I think part, to a large degree, it was because of his statement, I am a moral man only because my wife, and you tried to take her from me. And I don't think that's correct about Jamie. I think for the most part, he does try to come from a moral place. And I think he feels very guilty about his things that he's done that
are like that.
Yeah, that are questionable. And in their morality. So anyway, I didn't care for that scene. It wasn't in the book, and it was just my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I liked it. So my least favorite scenes were in the jail. When Claire first meets Sadie, and then when Jamie and Ian come and, talk to Sadie and say, "Where is she?" I just found those kind of boring, personally.
I thought he was a little aggressive with the women and that's not it either what Jamie does.
Oh,
I think he was
no.
just off in this for me in this episode to a large degree. Not in everything, but his character just seemed just a little bit too, you know,
Yeah. It wasn't it Jamie felt choppy. And there were a couple scenes where I felt like I saw Sam too. And I don't know, I think that happens for him when the writing, I don't know, when he doesn't feel like
the writing and directing.
it's
One of the
it's
things I
Jamie.
noticed that he
Yeah.
did a lot of this in the show, and he does that when it seems like he does that when he's uncomfortable. He rolls his fingers across his thumb, and you can see it, even though he has his hands at his side, you can notice him doing that. It's not the tapping, which he did quite a bit of in this episode, but it's the rolling of his fingers over his thumb, and it seems to be a nervous habit. But I wondered if that might be because he was not terribly comfortable with the way the episode was moving forward.
Hmm.
Maybe.
Well, do you think I think he's incorporated that into Jamie, that little,
This he has, but I'm talking
but the
about
rolling
this.
thing too.
Yeah, there's another thing that he does when his arms are at his side and he
Yeah.
is rolling his thumbs across his fingers. That's not in the
Kind of
book.
like,
And
I'm frustrated, I want to act and I can't.
or I'm limited in what I can do here.
But you think that's Sam, not Jamie?
I think that's Sam.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this is Jamie.
Yeah, the tapping.
Yeah, the tapping. At least Jamie of the book.
Yeah, interesting. I think I've seen Charles do that rolling thing.
Oh, I'll have to watch for that.
Yeah. Okay, what didn't work for you?
Sinead
Besides,
O'Connor's rendition
yeah,
of the Skyboat song is painful to hear, not only because she left us shortly before these episodes aired, but the rendition of it is just, we're used to superb music. She's off key. She doesn't have her breath, and I'm not an expert in it, but even I can tell that that she struggled to make it through, and I just feel bad about that as the opening music for this season.
yeah. I think she left us between seasons 7A and B.
Oh, it was between 7A and B.
I think
Okay.
so.
I thought
I
it
don't
was just
remember
before
exactly,
A.
but
Well, I know it was somewhere in the making of it or very close to when they aired.
yeah.
So
It's not my favorite rendition either. It's kind of spooky at this point.
yeah. The fog with the ship that went
Oh,
on for several days. So I looked it up, and fog is rare in Wilmington, North Carolina. And when it is there, it doesn't stay very long. So that was I'm not sure why they needed that, in the filming of it, whether it was to keep the ship's position a little bit secret or something. I'm not quite sure, but it wasn't, that wouldn't be, according to what I've looked up, it's not true to form. Then the other one I laughed out loud about when Bree is sitting on the beach watching Jimmy play in the sand, and Roger comes up and he says he's decided that he's going to do something for Don, or he's going to pray for him. And she says, "Oh, you're going to make a wonderful minister." I'm like, I mean, I know you want to support your man, but just because he's going to pray for somebody, that means he's going to be a wonderful minister. I didn't get that connection per se. But then I found the scenes between Roger and Bree. There were 3 scenes, and I found parts of them to be likable and other parts sort of boring, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said, the
Non-essential.
the subject matter of the whole episode, you know, political intrigue, to Claire being, you know, held captive, and then Roger's seminary pursuit. I don't know. It's not a likely candidate for a blockbuster open season opener, you know. But I think because of the way season 6 ended prematurely, they just were left with that episode as the first one.
Yeah, that
is
could
my
be.
guess. I don't know.
So I think your assessment at the beginning was pretty good. It was pretty even, and it was decent throughout. It didn't tend toward the spectacular, but there were parts of it which were quite exceptional, I felt.
Yeah, and it was generally well done and well acted and well written. It was just the kind of boring content a little bit.
Yeah. Some of it just went on in some places a little long, like in the jail between the women. That could have been abbreviated a bit, I think. And
yeah, we're never going to see those characters again. And
no, and the one woman that Jamie was questioning, she says, "How do I know what they look like?" You know, I mean, I don't know what that added to the, you know, to the overall gestalt of the episode. Anyway,
I thought that scene was awkward. It was kind of like the guard just opened the door and let him in, and then he goes in and it's like, "Where's my wife?" And you know, Ian whispers to him, "And where's my wife?" And then the Mrs. Tolliver doesn't even show up for a while, and then she shows up, and then he's like, and then she's like, "Oh," and the guard's right there. You know, like it was just that was an awkward scene for me.
Yeah, which makes me think that the reason why we saw Sam occasionally push
Being
through
awkward
is because he had an internal feeling that this is not going for him. His character especially, I would say his character was the one that was treated the poorest in this episode, let's put it in that. And I don't know that that's the right word, but
there wasn't a through line for his character. It was very choppy. Now I'm here for Claire. Now I'm here for Tom Christie. Now I'm here to threaten the women. Now I'm here to kill Richard. Yeah, it was very choppy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to things I noticed.
Okay. Well, first of all, Sadie called Mrs. Tolliver and said, can you get us Holland or Geneva? So I had to look that up. I didn't know what they were. They're both gins.
Okay.
So she does use the word gin, but I wondered what, she said she's got some money, so will you get us, how about some Holland, or how about some Geneva? And those are gins. I was really interested in float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, to see if that was said before Roger went through the stones or after. Well, it turns out it was said before he went through the stones, but at the time that he said it, his name was Cassius Clay. That was before he transferred to Muhammad Ali. And that was a year after my oldest child was born. So I remember when he made the transition, but it was 1964. So that was before Roger went back. So he would have heard that. And it was also.
But would Donner have known him as Ali then?
Yes, because I looked that up too. Donner went in, let's see if I can see it. He went in 1940. No, see,
No, he's from the 60s or the
he said
70s.
60s. Yeah, I think it was 68 that he went. I looked it up.
So he was Muhammad Ali by then.
Yeah, he was Muhammad Ali by then, but he said it as Cassius Clay before his fight with Sonny Liston. That was 1964. And
Okay.
then that same year, he transitioned to Muhammad Ali. I believe it was the same year.
Well, that saying, I remember hearing it in the 70s,
Oh, yeah,
the
they were still
80s.
talking about it. So it was
Yeah.
always accredited to Muhammad Ali, but it wasn't what he went by when he said it. So
Okay.
I just wanted to make that point. And
Yeah.
another one, did you notice how when he and Ian ride up, when Jamie and Ian ride up in Wilmington, Ian gets off the left side of his horse, but Jamie gets off the right side of his horse, which is unusual. I've never seen
Yeah.
him, he dismounted off the right side, and I've never seen him do that before.
Interesting. Was it just because of space? I mean, because
Probably.
if he dismounted, he'd be in between the horses, which
He would be. He would be because Ian was on his left. So he would have been in between the horses.
which
So,
isn't the safest thing to do, especially
no.
with all of the junk they wear, like swords and
Yep. Good point. So another thing I thought of was is that Roger and Bree did a lot of hearkening back to the 20th century stuff in this episode, because not only did he comment about float like a butterfly and sting like a bee, but in addition to that, he mentioned Son of a Preacher Man.
yeah.
That came out in 1969 by Dusty Springfield. She sang that and released it that year. So he would have heard it before he came back in 71, I think it was. And then You're Not Steve McQueen in The
Yes.
Great Escape. So that was 1963. So they would have
Okay.
seen that. And that's a good movie if you've never seen it, by the way,
I
everybody.
haven't. I haven't.
It is a good film, don't you think?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you
I'll have
haven't
to,
seen it?
no,
Oh, it's
I'll have to
good.
watch it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really good.
I noticed that during the stoning scene in the recap in the previously, you know, I like to watch the horses, and you know, the horses were like, what's going on here? You know, when they were throwing it at the wagon, and then they had a stunt person rearing the horse behind Tom Christie, and then Tom Christie yells, "This is not justice!" And he's on either Alfie or Sleepy, and he's like, and you know, Tom Christie's having to hold him because, you know, horses are prey animals, and
Yes,
they are like, yeah, I'm out of here.
they're very skittish about.
They're like, uh-oh, something's not good. I'm out of here. So I noticed that, and it was, you know, realistic, which was good. I noticed on Sam in the voiceover close up, Sam's Sassenach City scar that was fairly new at that point.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I'm sure Gina's like, that's a scar from my convention. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Don't you forget it.
Yeah, that he has that.
Yeah.
I mean, they show him getting that in the scene where, you know, they attack the house.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out with that cut after that. That's how they explained it. They were actually covering it up before that. I noticed in the jail they had like a gutter type thing running through the middle of the room. Did you see that? Like not in the jail, but like in between the cells. And I was just curious about that. I didn't know if that was
You mean down the center?
Yeah. I didn't know if that was a studio set or
I wondered if it
an
might be
actual location.
stalls for animals.
That's what it looked like. Yeah.
That where they could flush, you know, rinse out the stalls and flush it down a center drain. But
Yeah, so I'm thinking
yeah.
that was a location instead of a set because
Yeah.
of that thing being there.
Yeah.
I noticed they skipped the lesbian storyline. when Sadie tries to, feel up Claire. They didn't go
That's right.
there.
I forgot about that.
Let's see. Oh, I noticed that when the last riding scene before they pull up into Wilmington, when they're riding down the hill and they're right next to each other, the person that's on that beautiful white horse is having to use the rein and leg to keep it right next to Ian's horse.
He wants to
because
drift.
yeah, because horses are like, why would we run right next to each other? Look at this huge field. Like, and so that rider, which I'm guessing was not Sam, it could have been, was like, yeah, keeping that horse right next to Ian for the shot. I noticed that Ian's
Oh,
horse.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. I noticed that Claire fell asleep awfully fast before Jamie got up and the door slammed for,
He was very noisy about
to go kill Richard Brown. And was that Jemmy on the beach there?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Because she's pregnant with Mandy.
Right.
It briefly showed him.
I guess it was, but he didn't even say hi, Dad, or
No.
anyway, it was just
No, he didn't.
he wasn't very I guess he was busy with his nanny or whoever that was.
On the porch of the hotel where Tom tells Jamie that he's going to confess to the murder of Malva. I don't know if you noticed, but a bell starts tolling.
Oh.
And I couldn't help but think of John Donne's poem.
Oh yeah.
Don't
I didn't notice that.
Not to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee.
Yeah.
And I thought the bell was tolling for Tom Christie because of the choice that he's making. So I saw that as an omen of his probable future for those who don't know what happens. In the book, Jamie rows out to the cruiser alone. He doesn't get rowed out by a crew.
Oh, okay.
In the show, he gets rowed out by a crew. And then I thought it was really interesting that when Claire asks Tom, do you know who's the father of Malva's baby is? He doesn't really answer. But
he doesn't
I do
answer,
think he's got
not
an
even
idea.
any really. He just does. He's like, look over there.
It's like he never heard her say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes me think that he has a clue.
Yeah. Do we know if he has a clue in the book? I don't remember. Yeah.
No. No, because when she finds out who it was, he's still on the coast.
Okay. I think then I will say that I did hear one of Bear's notes when they're in Wilmington and on the harbor, because they obviously are right there. And the music starts, it sounds like a foghorn. The first note sounds like a foghorn. Did you hear that?
I did.
And I thought it was a foghorn. And then I thought, oh, that's music. Like, I thought that was clever.
He's such a clever man.
And the music to the
man.
horseback riding, I loved the music to the horseback riding. It was just, I don't even know what it was. I can't even explain it. It wasn't
anybody's theme. It was
just an instrumental something, but it was just perfect for, he's so good at matching the tone.
He's a genius, actually, I think.
He really is. Okay, we're to our break and then medical anatomical. So
Alrighty.
See you after.
Okay. Okay. Ready?
Yeah, medical anatomical. Let's go.
You had a question.
I did?
You said you'd save it for the medical if you want.
So in the previously, was that actually Malva, like the actress Jess with a cutthroat, or a dummy? What'd you think in your expert opinion?
I thought it was her.
Okay.
I think I've read something about it that, that they that was makeup, but it's been a while.
I mean, it looked, if it was a dummy, it was a pretty good one.
It was a real good one. I would have, if
I
it was a
think-
dummy, I would have thought something like wax, a wax
Yeah.
replica, because it really did look.
But why would they
Well.
even do that? They would probably just dress her up and do the scene, I would think.
Yeah. But I something we can look into, and somebody will, I'm sure, listening is going to know the answer to it.
Right.
We've got
Yeah.
a well-informed audience.
I love that about our audience.
I do too. Well, believe it or not, there was a lot of medical anatomical in this.
Really?
Oh,
I'm
yeah, there
excited
was-
because
Yeah.
I wrote a couple things down,
Oh,
but I didn't see that much. So yay.
okay. Well, first of all, much of it was between Claire and Mrs. Martin. Mrs. Martin said, could it be the tertian ague, which
Oh.
is malaria? And
Oh.
it's the malaria that there's two kinds, one where the fever occurs every 3 days and one where it occurs every 2 days. That's the tertian. The quartane is the one where it occurs every 3 days. Don't ask me why they're named that way. I've read the explanation and I don't understand it.
Oh.
But that's what it is anyway. It's the type of malaria where there's a tertian is the type of malaria where there's a fever every 2 days. So no, she doesn't have malaria. Claire,
Thank
definitely
God.
not. Yeah.
I mean, she was pretty relaxed, like casual about it.
The phlegm and the bowl are calling for that, because bloodletting was the thing that people believed in. They thought the blood, if you had a fever or whatever, it was the blood was too rich, so you needed to release some of it to release the spirits
was
that
in
were
there.
in. Yeah.
Humors, right? The humors?
Humors, that's it. Ginger tea, in fact, can be used for nausea, which is what she said she had. So that's what Claire brewed for her or made for her. I didn't see any hot water, but she managed to do it. The tonic that she said she had been taking, that Claire picked up, I tried to read it. The label looked like it was a hexagon or octagon, so the label was bent and I couldn't read all of it. But down toward the bottom, it says, I got a photo of it, and it said that it was a tonic for pregnant women and children, not pregnant children, but pregnant women and children, that relieves fevers, pains, helps the blood, cures scurvy, blah, blah, blah. That's all I could get off from it. But it was one of these things that were so typical then, and actually I still see it now on YouTube. They'll do everything, somebody will have this magical cure that takes care of about 10 different major entities in the body, which of course is not true.
Baloney.
Yeah, it's baloney.
Did you see an ingredient list?
No, I didn't. And I tried to read, it was something drops. And I even took part of the 3 words that were identifying it. At the top, it said the original. Then there were 3 words stacked on top of each other that were broken because of the label, the bend of the label, and I couldn't read them. I tried to take the part of the words and Googled it, and it came up with some really wild things that I knew were not right. So
right.
So then Martin, Governor Martin, says that he has griping of the stomach. Did you hear him say that?
Yeah.
Well, it's not gripping, it's griping. And griping of the stomach is when the upper abdominal muscles clench, and it gives a person, their waist pulls in, and it gives them kind of an hourglass look when you see it. And it's extremely painful, and the muscles won't relax. And it's usually because of anxiety, stress, fear, the sort of thing that he's obviously experiencing in his position. And so that's what was happening. He had this uncontrolled contraction of his upper abdominal muscles, not the lower ones below the navel, but above the navel, roughly, and that's called griping of the stomach. Oil of porcupine on her list. Did you see that?
No.
Okay, that was at the top. There were 4 things in her letter to Tom. One was oil of porcupine. Then there was camphor, and then there was potassium nitrate and vermius,
Yeah.
my man. Well, oil of porcupine, I Googled it, and AI said that it was a code for Tom Christie, that there is no such thing. Actually, that's not true. It turns out that a patent for oil of porcupine was submitted in 2021 by a Chinese gentleman in and the porcupine oil. Okay, and then the other thing that the porcupine is used for is that in their GI tract, I suppose it's their stomach, they develop typically a calcified mass, and that mass is called a bezoar, Bezoar, bezoar. I may not be pronouncing that correctly, but it's used in various parts of Europe and Southeast Asia to treat cancer, poisonings, dengue fever, and typhoid fever.
Holy smokes.
So,
but it just got patented in 2021?
Well, a guy applied for a patent then. I don't know if it was, I mean, it's been used, I guess, for a long time, but he applied for a patent. I don't know if it was granted.
So you just looked up porcupine oil and they said that's a code for Tom Christie?
That's what AI said. But if
AI is
when
not
I
always
looked,
right, you know.
right, that's my point, one of my points. So I looked further, and then I found these other pieces of information about oil of porcupine.
So that could have been used by Native Americans, by early whoever.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the things that the oil is used for: leprosy, reduces heat, reduces toxins, swelling, takes care of pain, restores tissue regeneration, fights bacterial infection.
So why would so I guess that's why she would be ordering it for
maybe swelling and pain, something like that. Or if she ate something, counter toxins.
Yeah, or potentially if it was bacterial or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Claire said she thinks she ate something that disagreed with her would be more likely than. Camphor was on that list. Now, camphor is what's in mothballs, so you know what a strong, powerful component that is. But it has been used for pain relief, for resuscitation, heat clearance, fever, convulsions, strokes, fainting. Are all uses for camphor. But what I found really interesting as I looked into it is that any camphor above 11% is banned in the United States because of its toxicity. So we don't, all of our camphor should be less than, that we come across in mothballs should be less than 11%. I don't know why they chose 11%. Another one was potassium nitrate was on her list. That's used for cauterizing, removing granulation tissue. That's the tissue that first forms in the healing of a wound. Warts for tooth sensitivity. So I don't know why she has that on her list. She may have just put some of this stuff, not necessarily.
Just to have a fake list, just to have something before the last thing.
Right. Then another one was Malva's use of the sun eater's germs to create a broth to try to kill, which to think about it is gross,
So disgusting.
It really is, to kill Tom and Claire. And then finally, and what I thought was interesting, by the way, there was the disagreement between different perspective between Claire and Tom, because Tom said she wanted power and influence. So that's why she wanted Jamie. And Claire looked at it as no, she wants the freedom of being his wife, which is a type of power, of course. And then the last one is the East Indian Chamugra. I probably am not pronouncing that right.
That was on her list.
She mentions it, Mrs. Martin, that she takes the East India Chalmugra.
Yeah.
It's a oil from a tree in Asia, and it's used to treat leprosy now. I don't know why she would want to consume it, but she struck me as a little bit of a hypochondriac, and she does in the book too. She's very worried, but then she's also lost half of her children. So
not knowing that probably these tonics are probably why she's doing it. But it reminds me, you know, my let's see, my dad's aunt, so my great aunt, wrote a history of their family. And then, you know, I need to look that up. I think their mom got typhoid fever or something like that. Could have been and the doctor was putting kerosene on her tonsils.
My mother used to do that.
Well,
to me,
whatever he was doing, she was getting sicker and sicker. And then the grandfather finally said, "Oh, we've had enough of you." The doctor left, stopped treating her, and she recovered on her own. I mean, like, some of the medicine really killed the people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, some of the concoctions that they, you know, think back to Davy Beaton's surgery and his recipes that Claire read.
So your mom put kerosene on your tonsils?
Mm-hmm. She'd swab our throat sometimes with it.
Wow.
If we got sore throats.
And what did that do?
Well, I survived it, I guess.
It prepare you for being lit?
I do not know what her reasoning was. She would prepare powdered sulfur in honey and dose us with that, or put that on canker sores to try to heal it. You know, they didn't ever take us to a doctor. So, you know, it was whatever she could think of.
What year was your mom born in?
1911.
Yeah.
My dad was 1906, so not far off from Catherine's grandparents.
I know my dad's parents were 1890 and 1891.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I knew these people. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And they, you know, a lot has changed since then. And it's shocking at times to hear what they did, you know, to try to survive and take care of some of this.
Yeah, these accounts were, you know, there were at least 2 different accounts of doctors almost killing people with their treatments in our family history. Anyway.
Yeah, I just thought the interaction between Claire and Mrs. Martin was just really cool. I thought Claire had a great bedside manner with her, especially after, you know, she says, "I've never met a murderess before," you know, and she was obviously, that was very titillating, and what a wonderful, juicy piece of gossip that was going to be.
Yeah, and Claire was still, instead of being like, "Well, I'm not treating you," you know, she was just like, "Well, here I am, and let's put that aside."
She could have done a little bit more of an exam than what she did, but you know, I think she just really wanted the woman to get into bed and take a rest. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to BTS.
Oh, there it was. Donner left in 1968.
Okay,
so he
that's
would
what you said, yeah.
Yeah, but I just I was going from memory, but that's what it said. He arrived in 1766. So he knew Cassius Clay had changed to Muhammad Ali. So that I wanted to check that, and I did, and that's what I found out.
Okay.
I wanted to mention that Bragg, remember Sadie said, do you want to play Bragg? Do you know how to play Bragg? Well, it's a British card game that's similar to poker, and it was around in 1721, so they would have known how to do it.
Doesn't Jamie win at Bragg a lot for when they're trying to raise money? It seems like he chooses Bragg.
Which book was that? Do you remember?
No.
Money for what?
You know, when they run out of money, and so he plays poker in bars. I think it happens more than once.
Bragg? It could have been Bragg. For some reason,
I think Bragg is his game of choice, but
well, it's a real game.
Do you know how to play it?
I do not.
I don't either.
The last BTS thing that I had, and I already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again because I think it's worth it, was that in the book, Richard Brown and his men approached Jamie before this fight at Morris Creek Bridge and ask if they can fight with them, and Jamie says yes. And that's after that part in A Breath of Snow and Ashes, I went to Echo in the Bone and to Moby and looked up Richard, and he's not mentioned in any of those two later books. So
I don't know if we find out what happens to him.
Not yet.
Yes, we don't. Yeah.
But Jamie didn't kill him.
So my BTS is just mentioning that Daniel Barrow actually wrote my favorite episode from season 7B, which is 715. Written in my own heart's blood. I think that was your favorite too. So I just thought I'd mention that. Her very first episode was 508, Famous Last Words, the black and white one, where Roger gets hanged. And then 607, Sticks and Stones, which I can't remember exactly what that is, but
not off the top
something with Claire and the ether and something or other. So she does a good job. And then Lisa Clark, I believe she did some later episodes, but this was her first one to direct.
No. She was competent.
I agree.
I don't think that she showed some of the cleverness that we've seen from time to time in the episodes in the direction, but she had the presence of mind to put all of those beautiful outside scenes in, pull nature into the story, and that's a plus. As a director, I feel.
And she shot the scenes with Tom Christie. Those scenes were well done, I thought. The intimate, the conversations. Yeah. Oh, so the one prisoner who says, she said that she was the murderess because, you can't, there's no getting off with forgery. So she probably was going to plead the good book and get off scot-free. So I looked up scot-free to see if that was a, expression
good
at
idea.
This time. And it was actually from the 12th century. In England. And I've always thought it was about Scottish people, like kind of because they're thrifty, they, going Dutch, that kind of thing. But it's actually, Scot is an Old English word for a tax or a payment. So it's not related to Scotland or Scots at
Oh, it's
all.
monetary in nature.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So scot-free means that you just were exempt from paying the tax. I
Well,
thought
I
that was
would like
interesting.
that.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, that's right. Especially this time of year.
It has supposedly the word has Germanic origins.
Oh,
I saw some conflicting things. You know,
interesting.
AI, you have to kind of you have
Yep.
to check it. Okay, so then we have lawyerly, which we don't have our lawyer, but
I wish we did, because
there's a lot of stuff.
yeah, the business
What?
about no, the justices were in hiding, so there's no courts,
Yep.
and him being the territorial governor, that he could make the decision about Claire. Those
The
were
martial
things
law.
martial law. I'd really like for Antoinette to be able to speak to that.
Yeah. And let's see. I thought it was interesting that that forgery is a worse charge than murder.
Mhm.
And Governor Martin said that, well, murder is one thing, but treason. So, like, I just think murder wasn't as big of a deal back then, I guess, as treason and forgery.
It sure seems that way, but I'd really like to see what Antoinette thinks of that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it makes me wonder too, because it just seemed like forgery was the worst.
well, treason was the worst.
Well,
And
treason
then
was the worst.
forgery, and then somewhere down there, probably stealing, and then murder, And then when she said that she'd probably plead the good book, did you understand what she meant by that?
Well, that she would plead something out of the Bible, but mercy, ask for mercy.
I
Would be my
guess. I guess, but I mean, now you hear about people saying, well, you plead like psychologically unfit or something, but how could she plead the Bible? I don't know. I'm interested in that.
The phrasing does seem a little odd, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so then we have favorite lines. Did you have any favorite lines?
I thought it was funny when Jamie comes aboard and they're kissing, and Lieutenant Tate says, "Excuse me, this is not permitted." I don't know why. That just struck me as he's so proper, said it so properly in English.
I have to say, that scene was not totally believable for me. It was a little bit like,
It
in the
was
fog and all the, and then they, I don't know. It was a little melodramatic, and
Yeah.
then to have that guy pipe up with that line, that was hilarious.
It really
Excuse
was.
me,
I mean, I laughed
that
out
is
loud.
not permitted. And then Jamie's like, I need to see the governor. I don't know. That whole scene was weird. Yeah. I just didn't buy the Jamie and Claire.
No, it just felt like a little bit of pandering to the audience, that,
Yeah,
like,
oh, a reunion scene. Let's put that in. But they didn't even feel like they believed it. You know what I mean? The actors.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
The most convincing one in the scene was the soldier.
Tate. His name is Tate.
Excuse me. And he's just so dry. He's like, this is not permitted. Like, first of all, I tried to make her go downstairs and she wants me to get some blankets. And then now she's making out with this person who just got off the boat. And when he's like, I am an Indian agent, and Lord John Gray. I don't know. This the whole thing was just
Yeah, by what
weird. It was
authority
almost
do
a
you have to
stable
come
scene.
aboard?
It was almost a stable scene.
Close.
Yeah, for me. I liked the line where Governor Martin said, "I should hang the two of you out of hand, have you swinging from the yardarm." That really got Jamie's attention.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh shit." Now, Governor, or whatever he says. Did you have another one?
I I found a number of the lines said by Tom Christie to be really profound, but the one that really got to me was, "I have searched for love, none were worthy. Allow me this to give my life for the sake of one who is." And that's right out of the book, that line. It was chapter 97 of A Breath of Snow and Ashes, but he delivered it perfectly
Yeah.
and quietly. He was standing in his truth, not that he knows he's lying, that he didn't kill Malva, but his truth is that he's doing it to save her. And so therefore it is justified for him. And I think, I just thought he delivered it beautifully.
He's really a talent.
Yes.
I just feel like he elevates every episode that he's in.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him again. I thought it was funny when Roger started to pray, and he said, "Lord, it is said that God helps those who help themselves." I always found that confusing, like those who help themselves to the last slice of cake, and he looks over at Bree and she's like, yeah, I thought that was cute.
I've already said this, but Mrs. Martin, when she said, "I've never known a murderess before," I mean, she was obviously just delighted.
And she had, because she's going back and forth going, "You're a murderess. You could murder me and my child."
Yeah.
And so she's got tears in her eyes, but then she's like, "Oh," or maybe it's the other way around, but just she's got, her eyes are like sparkling when she's saying this, Yeah. I loved where Tom said, when he tells Claire what he's gonna do, and she says, "No, you didn't, or you can't," or something like that, and he says, "Still contrary, I see." Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. I like Jamie's line when he says, "I would have done the same, counted my life well lost," which is the title of the episode, "if it saved ye. If he feels the same, then you've done nae wrong to him to take your life from his hand." And I think that was beautifully done by Jamie. The supportive spouse that he is.
Yeah.
That he would try to take that burden of guilt from her, because she said he can't give his life for me. And he's saying, it's not your choice. You didn't ask him to do it. He's doing this of his own free will. Respect what he's at. Respect the sacrifice that he's willing to make for you, and accept it, and don't, ruin it by diminishing it in some way. So I thought that was a good line.
That was a good scene. That was on my list of favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Especially that part of it. Claire just looked like she wanted to shrink out of her skin, and thinking about, I can't, handle that he's going to do this. And Jamie just reassuring her, and when he says he's in love with you, you know? It's just, yeah, he's very Jamie in that scene.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
that little section there was Jamie, the
Yes.
Jamie that I have come to love and know in the series, very much so. Some of the other places, not so much, but
Yeah.
this
And
one very well.
yeah, he wasn't written great in this episode. And so it's kind of amazing that it's as good as it is, because when he's not written well, it usually doesn't get pulled off. I think Mark Lewis Jones filled the gap.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, I loved this one. I saw your horse, I'd know him anywhere, stared at his arse for 200
200 miles.
miles. That was great.
That was great. He didn't though, because he couldn't have seen the horse's rear end.
Oh, right, because he was behind them. What? He was in front of them sometimes, I think.
It wouldn't have mattered. He couldn't have, the wagon was closed in the front, remember? It had a
Really?
tarp over it. It had an opening in the back that they could look out
No.
behind them, but I mean, I'll go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that it was closed in the front.
Oh boy, Jamie.
Well,
You-
one could say that he was just being bitter toward
yeah,
and
but
cutting toward.
he did recognize the horse, and that was
Yes.
a creative way,
Yes, it
because
was.
Jamie knows horses, and
You saw the
again,
saddlebags,
mhm.
you know.
And I thought he could have said the line about, like, my wife's the only moral thing about me, whatever it was. Could have just been like, kind of saying, like, you tried to take the only good thing about me, and now I'm going to take your life, which still isn't quintessential Jamie, but that's
No,
what I
but I
thought
mean,
he
it's
meant.
close.
Yeah.
For him to say, that she's certainly, I think, the most important thing in his life.
For sure. But she's not his moral compass, no.
I think she strengthens his moral compass, but I think he's got one on his own myself.
Yeah. And then I just had one more, which is, I'm also a violent man. And he does say that in the
He
book.
does say that in the
In
books.
the books. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't remember exactly where, but he also says he's a man of blood in different places, So, I mean, he recognizes that he is a warrior.
Yeah.
He was born that way, I mean, he says he was born to
And it's
fulfill
just
that role.
also the time that he's from.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. Did you have any more?
Just one. I thought his eulogy to Tom was really touching. I really like that. It's kind of long, so I won't say that. But the first sentence was, Tom Christie was an honorable Scot, a leader of men. And he goes on, and says, well, he doesn't always know where he's leading
Where
them,
he's leading them. I liked that because it was, it was honest.
And then
Because
he
he
went on.
doesn't.
Yeah, and he went on to say that I respected him, and I hope that he would feel the same way about me.
Yeah,
And
I
that was
thought that
very
was
honest. And as I said at the beginning, it was very intimate for two guys. And I was
right.
happy to see it. I
Yeah.
really think more of that would be good for our society, actually.
Yeah, because guys do have that part of them, unless it's
Yes.
been baked out, like trained out of them. They're I mean, you've raised boys. They're
Yes.
almost more sensitive than girls
Yes.
when they're little,
Yes.
and they're passionate about a lot of things.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's like a little bird or their mom or whatever. It's they have that in there. I don't know why we have to, pretend. Anyway.
No.
Okay, so let's do standouts. Oh, I had a note here that I said Roger seems like a weenie in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said
Even
that
though what didn't work for
he,
I liked
I
their scenes
agree.
together, but I was kind of like, ew, what a turnoff. Like,
He was just kind of like a uninteresting to me. He just didn't have any uh even his I mean his recitation about his naughtiness as a kid, even stole sweeties from the post office.
I know he just seemed like, you know, I think Book Roger is just a little more tough, or rugged is the word,
Yeah.
than this Roger. This
Mhm.
Roger's like, he was practically skipping down the beach saying this stuff. And it's like, so there we go. There's we're saying they need to be more sensitive and all that stuff. But then yet I'm saying Roger's a weenie. So it's not really fair, but there's just, like a little bit more grounded or something in his masculinity.
Yeah. I don't know. He came across as not particularly interesting character uh in this episode.
Well, and also, uh,
I mean, is that how you would pray to God?
well,
Start
to
talking about
me,
a slice of cake? I don't.
I thought he was doing that. Uh, it seemed like he was trying to please other people. Kind of like, and that's understandable. He's a new minister, but when the guys looks at him like, and he's like, "Oh, but fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee." And then Bree's like unhappy that he's gonna do this, so then he's like, "Okay, I won't do that." He was just very kind of like a pleaser in this episode, a people pleaser.
Mhm. Um,
Which could be seen as a strength. And actually, I interpreted when she said, "You're going to be a good minister," I interpreted that because he read the situation, he found a way to make it work for himself, for his wife, and for Donner.
oh, well,
That's how I read that.
okay. Then I think those are good points.
Yeah. Which is a good quality in a man. I guess he's just a little too, I don't know, which is more modern, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, we're like, oh, I like Jamie. He's a rugged 1700. But then most of the guys from there are like, you're my property. We don't like that part. It's kind of not fair,
It's kind of yeah, it's kind of two-sided, isn't it?
It kind of is.
Yeah.
So, who are your standouts?
Well, Mark Lewis Jones, I just was, he was virtually perfect in every single scene he was in. I couldn't find anything that I could say he that wasn't true to the character that he was portraying.
Yeah,
I just thought he was rock solid.
I have to agree with you there. He was my first one on my list. And then I said, I thought the Martins were really good. I actually thought the governor and the wife were really well done.
I agree. They were on
Yeah.
my list too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they were. I mean, he really came across as a as not somebody you want to fiddle with or take lightly.
Right.
Um, I think he was in a very bad situation politically,
Yeah.
and that wasn't really played out, and there was no need to really explain all of it. But that, I think, contributed to the hostility that you just felt emanated from him. I mean, he just was snapping at Claire and Jamie at the drop of a hat, with
But I
threatening
thought he was
comments.
pretty restrained, considering. I mean, she's a murderess. He's a treason, he's like committed treason. And but he knows this woman can help my wife, and I don't have another option right now. And I don't have a leg to stand on. I've just lost my fort. I'm floating in the sea. I thought he just played all of that very well, and being
I think he did too. I
he
think he was
worked
formidable.
working in his Irish accent,
Mhm.
becoming more pronounced when the more stressed he got.
Yes.
Then kind of swinging over to the loss of his children, and then snapping back out of that and being like, what?
Wait a minute, I need to stay focused
Why
here.
am I doing that with this murderess, or whatever? I thought he did a good job, and I thought she did a great job too.
I do too. I thought they were both very strong.
What was your next one?
Katrina. I
Yeah.
really thought that her scenes with both Martins and with Tom were just really, really good. The scene in bed with Jamie
Yeah.
was very well done. In the jail, that could have been cut in half, the length of time spent on that, I feel, and still gotten the idea across. But she did well with what she had there. I think her hair, there were several times when she almost looked like she was shrinking into herself, because the situation I took, it was so threatening for her.
Yeah.
And she didn't see a way out of it or how to navigate her way through it. And I just thought she portrayed that. She didn't try to really do anything about her hair until Tom mentioned, that Mona's hair was wild, and she'd be talking to the moon and things like that. And Claire, then you reach for her hair, and he said, no, leave it. I just thought she played her part very, very well in this episode. Jamie didn't come up to up to par, and I think that was probably the content of the writing and also the directing for him.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'd have to look at what else Lisa Clark has done. I didn't write that down, but some directors really work for some actors and some don't. And I don't know if that's a pattern with them. I thought he sort of overacted Jamie in this episode.
Yeah.
Jamie was a little too, there wasn't the usual nuance that we see from Sam.
Finesse that we usually see from him. Yeah. I would agree with that, but I can see that coming from the director, honestly.
Yeah.
She might have had a vision of, I want you to be this way.
Right.
And
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe he was having a bad 2 weeks. No, I'm kidding. I thought actually the sets and the locations were well done. That was quite an expense probably to get that ship, and then the Wilmington set is like a thing. It's just very believable. Oh, I forgot to mention, did you notice the name of the whorehouse?
No.
It's called the Mary Cock.
The Mary Cock?
No, it's just Mary, Merry Cock.
Mary Cock.
Pretty good name for a whorehouse.
It's an excellent name for a whorehouse, honestly.
I also had the horses and the riders. Oh, I did have another piece of BTS. and then the sounds, all of the sounds and the music, the audio part of this. So back when I was putting together the Outlander BTS Scotland tour, when I was looking for potential, cast and crew to meet the guests as a surprise, one of the people that I reached out to was the guy who does stunts for Sam. And he said, I'm about to go and I haven't worked for a while on Outlander. They haven't needed me, but I'm about to go do some stuff like in the next couple of weeks. And I don't know the exact date of it, but I wondered if he's doing those writing scenes. Anyway, that was just something that crossed my mind. Okay, let's go to big themes and then we're done.
I had a hard time with this, a theme in this, other than Claire is an unusual and amazing woman, who really elicits love and commitment from the men in her life.
Yeah,
you think
sure.
about Lord John, Tom, Jamie, Roger has Ian, they all just admire her. They're drawn to her. They want to protect her. They want to support her. They want her wisdom, her skills. And so I guess that's how I would see it. I didn't see a more esoteric, I guess, or eternal theme than that in it. Sometimes I do. I didn't in this one.
Yeah. I saw a couple of things. I saw the theme of compassion and empathy running through this episode. Jamie empathizes with Tom for being in love with Claire. He knows what that's like. And it can be crazy making, right? And then he has compassion for him and wanting to let him express his love for his wife. That's a pretty big man who's like, I care about you. I'm secure in my relationship. I know what it's like to be in love with this woman, and I'm willing to extend the compassion to you to let you do this thing and help you do this thing. Yeah. And then Roger feels empathy and compassion for Donner because he's been in that situation where if he did the right thing and stood up for these people who are being thrown overboard, he would have been killed. He would have been killed himself, and then he would have not been able to find Bree and have their life. And I think he was worried for Bree, rightfully so, obviously. And then let's see. Bree had he also had compassion and empathy for Bree and for Bree's mom, and then Bree showed empathy and compassion for Claire because she knew what it was like to be raped and have people just stand by and do nothing. And that's what happened to her mother. And so she could relate to that for her mom.
Oh, good.
And Tom had compassion for Claire, and she's been wrongly accused, and he knows that. And so he has the compassion enough to put himself in her place. And then Claire had compassion for the Martins.
Yes.
For their having lost children and their situation. Sadie even had compassion for Claire, and saying, I think she was trying to help when she said, I'm the murderess, because they're not going to probably choose a murderer to go do the healing job. So I saw that theme run through. And then The other one that I saw was bystander versus upstander. You know, a bystander who doesn't do anything.
But
That was,
observe.
but observe, that was Roger and Donner. And then you have an upstander who is Tom Christie, who is like, I'm not going to let this woman be hung when I know
Good
she's
point.
innocent and I love her. And then, you know, obviously the people who didn't help Claire, including Donner, the people in Wilmington who didn't help Bree, they're all bystanders. And you could say that Jamie was an upstander when he killed Richard Brown. Yeah, so that was in it. They have classes at my son's college where they teach classes and they make them go to them about how to not be a bystander but be an upstander.
Oh, interesting, because that's the first time I've really heard that used in that way. I mean, we know what an upstanding citizen means, you know, and that sort of thing, but an upstander as a noun, I've not heard it before.
Yeah, as you know, it's like don't just stand by and let people
Get
do
hurt.
stuff. And obviously you have to be concerned for your welfare. You can't be an idiot and just
Yeah,
run in and
right.
I mean, I wouldn't want that, my kid to do that, but I also wouldn't want them to just, you know, oh, well, let's turn our other cheek kind of thing. So I think it's cool that it's the, you know, one of these classes, they have to have certain things checked off before they can register for classes, and that's one of them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah. Well, you know, creating citizens with social awareness and
Yeah.
conscientiousness. So that's it. We're done.
We're done. It's good
Yeah.
to see you, Courtney.
It's great to see you.
We did it.
We
I
did
missed
it.
the ladies, but they'll
No,
be
it was
back.
nice. They will
Okay.
be.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty, hon.
Love
Take
ya.
care. I love you.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.